Hello and welcome back to ONC on Ground News Channel. Today we're going to be looking at an update for Wednesday on 2025. Today we have a lot of new news coming from the Meewcha front and also some few news about the Nefas area from Derbysby to Nefas and other news from Geshena. Um, for today, nothing has been updated. It's still the same front line as before. Um, although, like I said before, there's been updates for this area, Gashena, and also the A2 highway, where yesterday I said there was heavy fighting. And we still have, and we have reports of fighting between TDF and Ethiopian forces. First of all, let's take a look of the Nefas looting that has occurred. These are photos from Nefas. I think it was a um, research or town in the hospital. There's been multiple reports of looting, um, mostly in the hospital where a lot of supplies were taken, such as bandages and other medical supplies from TDF forces before they left the area. Another news we have today is the current front lines that I've just recently talked about. These are claimed as TPLF or TDF prisoners of war from Nefas after the push from Nefas. Um, we can't really 100% prove this, but these are claimed as TDF fighters that were captured, and you can clearly tell the uniforms match the TDF forces, and as you can see, these are uniforms of the Ethiopian National Defense Force. Other news is from OLA. There has been reports that OLA fighters have gotten into Nagel City, which is in the south, or I think it was in Waleka. I have to double check that. But there has been reports of soldiers entering the main city of Negmente in Geshena, which was recently captured, not last weekend. And the spokesperson for the for Tigrayan Defense Force has claimed that they have retaken Geshena after a counteroffensive. They have claimed that a large number of weapons, vehicles, and prisoners were captured after the battle, and they have stated that Ethiopian forces have been repelled successfully and have been captured and encircled. Um, this is a major news since this push from the Ethiopian forces successfully cut off the Debre Tabor offensive that the TDF has taken in the past week. So regaining this town, although it is unconfirmed yet from sources, if it is true, it will continue or will help relieve this area, which is still cut off from any major roadway. And like I said before, it is really mountainous, so any other roads connecting these few towns here or any strong points that the TDF are holding is unlikely. And without this main road, any push is um, toward Debre is impossible. So if the reports of Gashena being retaken is true, then it is a major win for the TDF in the push um, towards Debre Um, there hasn't been any reports of fighting or any sort of gains on this side. Um, we haven't really received any, so it's really uncertain at this point of where the lines and where the Ethiopian and TDF forces are. So this area is still being updated. Um, South in Meewcha, there's been updates that uh, this area there was a uh, sort of a ambush, I would say, and reports that the Ethiopian forces lost during their push in Syringa around this area. Um, Sources have claimed that, especially the TDF spokesperson has claimed that Ethiopian forces were captured in Syringa, and images such as these, although they are not confirmed yet, uh, just a disclaimer, these pictures can be from months ago, it's still unclear. But these pictures, such as this, it can be used on both sides, so I advise you not to believe uh, not to believe everything you see. But these pictures show TDF tanks um, being destroyed or broken. Uh, there's also multiple uh, vehicles that were captured, and this shows supposedly a TDF fighter. So these claims are uncertain, but TDF spokespersons has said that near near Mursa in this highway, there was an ambush and a successful uh, ambush that led to POWs and multiple vehicles and tanks. Other than that, there hasn't been any update for any new news about this area. It's still heavily contested. I would assume that in the next week or so, or next 5 days or 4 days, that you would be seeing any movement toward World Desi or toward Wildea, since this is one of the most active areas at this moment. Um, there hasn't been any heavy fighting around Jerfa or Kubo, as reports. Um, there hasn't really been any news coming out from these areas, so I would assume that there isn't any news. But new reports of Gashena and new reports of people fleeing from uh, or people fleeing from Gashena have been coming. So there has been heavy fighting in this area, and so far there hasn't been any claims on the Ethiopian side that Gashena has still been in their control or they have been pushing on either side. So it's really uncertain on each side. Other than that, the map is still the same. Um, the bark, all this is still the same, and no new updates has happened as of yet. Looking at this map, which is from Wikipedia, it shows this, which is Syringa, under contest. Um, I would assume that Ethiopian forces went around Mursa and tried to take Syringa or some way, because they haven't had Mursa at all. So they went, I would say, around and trying to push to Syringa, which is a town right above Mursa at this highway right here. So reports of fighting have been happening in Syringa. So either TDF forces have won since they have claimed that they have ambushed them, or Ethiopian forces were able to win. So it's still uncertain as this map shows. Um, Although TDF have already claimed that they won. So, and same thing with the Geshena offensive. It seems as the TDF are responding back to the Ethiopian counterattack on this front, and also their push from uh, the south of or the north of Dese into Weldia. So it's still uncertain at this point, as you can see from these indicators which show fighting. Um, I would advise you just to, if we wait like 2 days, we will see any new updates that show this under control Ethiopian forces or under TDF forces. Other than that, today morning, Wednesday, there hasn't been any new updates. There has been updates that more soldiers are coming through Desi and more soldiers are coming through the north. So I would advise there would be more of an offensive, I would say, from Debre Tabor into from Dese as well. It's still contested at this point, and nothing new really happened. Um, Other updates also show Eritrean forces being going into Welkite in western Tigray, as these images show that Reuters and other EU people or EU have claimed that Eritrean forces have entered Welkite area in the north in um, Humera, and they have been claiming that Eritrean forces have been entering Welkite and also taking up defensive forces for the inevitable push that might happen from TDF forces. So claims that Eritrean forces have entered Ethiopia have resulted in multiple international communities such as United States, European Union raising alarm, as it says here, because of the deployment of Eritrean forces. So you can, other than that, there hasn't been really more updates about the Wolkite area, other than more troops entering from the north and from the south, trying to take up defensive forces. This might indicate a potential push. Which is highly unlikely, since most TDF fighters are pushing south. Um, uh, but this area is still contested, so it's unclear who has control of this area, and it might be heavily contested. It's still unclear. Other than that, there has been reports of drones entering Ethiopia, although these claims have been denied from the Turkish embassy in Ethiopia. These claims show massive cargo planes passing through Azerbaijan, passing through Eritrea, and going through Ethiopia. So it's unclear, and it's still um, not confirmed that drones have entered um, after Ethiopian Prime Minister went to Turkey for a uh, symbolic diplomatic mission. Same thing with Abiy Ahmed's visit to Eritrea before going to Turkey. On his route to Turkey, there was reports of him landing in Eritrea and Asmara, which indicates more cooperation, which can indicate that uh, that might have led to Eritrean forces entering Welkite and more stronger cooperation from Eritrean forces and Ethiopian forces after the ceasefire was lifted. As you can see, in June, uh, these forces have actually left the north of Tigray after the ceasefire was called. Eritrean forces have left most of Tigray, and as the ceasefire was lifted, and after Abiy Ahmed also went to Asmara, and more reports of Eritrean forces have been found entering Humera and entering. Um, Although this is not the photo of people soldiers entering Humera, this is a photo back in March of Eritrean forces in Adigrat. But forces have been claimed in Wolkite, and also a stronger relationship with ECIs and Abiy Ahmed in the north of Ethiopia has been claimed by EU. Other than that, you might see a pattern of relationship and uh, outward diplomatic missions from Abiy Ahmed, especially in Israel and also from Turkey. So Abiy Ahmed, I would say, is Abiy Ahmed has actually been receiving more support from Eritrea, especially in Welgate. As you can see, these forces are half Amara and half controlled by Eritrean forces, which indicates that um, Eritrean forces are helping Ethiopia in a defensive manner rather than an offensive, as we saw in November. Most of Eritrean forces have left of Tigray and now supporting the Welkite defensive front, where uh, there has been some sort of push, I would say, because Eritrean forces won't just randomly go in to the border, so there might be a push into Welkite. It's unclear. But you know, after Abiy Ahmed's visit to Asmara while he was going to Turkey, uh, these troops started to enter Belgrade. So it might be more talks with Abiy and Isais that led to this during his trip to Asmara. Also, his trip to Turkey, which might have resulted in drones entering Ethiopia, which is still unclear. But Abiy Ahmed has been going to other countries as of recently, such as Eritrea and Turkey, and also getting more support or talking to world leaders like Israel's new prime minister, Naftali Bennett, who is just became prime minister not too long ago. So Abiy Ahmed has been getting more support than um, before, I would say, during his fight, during his defensive front in Walgait, and also his supposedly drones that have been shipped to Ethiopia. Other than that, then there hasn't been any significant updates. It's just these fronts, especially in Gashina, reports of Gashina being retaken, although it has not been 100% confirmed, and then also a ambush that happened on Ethiopian forces in the A2 highway, which is still unconfirmed, but has been released by the TDF spokesperson. Um, that is your update for Wednesday, the 25th of August. I do upload every single Monday. I mean, every single day in the mornings. Feel free to subscribe and like, and you can get notifications if you want. I update every single day. I use credible sources as much as I can, especially in times where there hasn't been any credible source coming out of the war. So with the blockade of, or most of the electrical or internet or journals have been blocked through of uh, Tigray and in this region. So as much as information as credible I do release, especially towns that were the towns that were defended or troops that came to these towns, Eritrean troops, which has been confirmed by EU and United States. This has been your update. Please feel free to like I said before. Have a good day.